At dinner, Caleb snatched my fiancé's phone, charged a $100,000 watch to her account, and then stuck his tongue out at me. Liam, you're loaded. You're not gonna sweat a little purchase like this, are you? Sophia and I are practically the same person. Her money is my money. The entire table went quiet, waiting for me to either explode or graciously let it slide. Instead, I pulled a digital voice recorder and my laptop from my briefcase, adjusting my gold-rimmed glasses. The amount in question is $100,000, which meets the threshold for felony prosecution. So, since you two are practically the same person, is this corporate embezzlement or an illegal gift in the context of a sugar baby arrangement? Oh, and for the record, I have your statement her money is my money on tape. Pursuant to our prenuptial agreement and the corporate bylaws, I am now officially initiating a freeze on Sophia's assets. Mr. Caleb, I hear the food in federal prison is free. You can eat all you want. Sophia's face went pale. Liam, it was a joke. Are you really going to ruin me over this? I hit the enter key. I'm sorry. In my ledger, there are no jokes, only bad debts. My phone buzzed. A text from the bank lit up the screen. Purchase $100,000. I set down my fork and looked at Sophia. Sophia didn't meet my gaze. She was busy peeling a shrimp for Caleb, who was sitting beside her. Caleb was holding Sophia's phone. The screen was still glowing with the payment confirmation from a luxury brand's website. He twirled it in his fingers and flashed it at me. Liam, I've wanted this watch forever. Sophia said you're always so cheap, you have no style. She figured I could help her spend some of your money to liven things up. The table was filled with Sophia's friends and business partners. Forks paused mid-air. Eyes darted between me, Sophia, and Caleb. Someone let out a nervous little laugh. Sophia placed the peeled shrimp on Caleb's plate before finally looking up at me. Liam, Caleb's just a kid. Don't be so sensitive. It's just a watch. We can afford it. I said nothing. I unzipped my briefcase. I took out a digital voice recorder and pressed record. A small red light blinked on. Then I took out my Ultrabook, flipped it open, and typed in my password. The motions were fluid, practiced. The smirk on Caleb's face faltered. He leaned into Sophia, practically draping himself over her arm. Sophia, look at him. Who brings a laptop to dinner? Is he going to start running numbers? What a buzzkill. Sophia frowned, slapping her fork down on the table. Liam, are you serious? This is a private dinner, not a board meeting. Put that crap away. I ignored her. My fingers flew across the keyboard. I opened a new spreadsheet and named the file, Sophia Major Irregular Expense Memo. I adjusted the gold-rimmed glasses on my nose and looked at Caleb. You said a moment ago that you and Sophia are one and the same, that her money is your money. Correct. Caleb tilted his chin up. That's right. Sophia and I have a bond. We grew up together. You wouldn't get it, Liam. You only understand spreadsheets. I nodded. Excellent. I turned to Sophia. And you endorse that statement? Sophia waved her hand dismissively. Caleb is like a brother to me. So what if he spends a little of my money? You're my fiancé. Can't you be a little more generous? Stop being so petty. It's embarrassing. I hit enter. The cursor blinked on the screen. I began to speak, my voice level and clear, ensuring the recorder would pick up every word. Under federal law, Title 18, Section 666, any agent of an organization who embezzles or willfully misapplies property of that organization valued at $5,000 or more shall be fined, imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both. Sophia's card is a corporate card, linked directly to the company's primary account. Caleb is not an employee of the company. He just used $100,000 of corporate funds for a personal purchase. I looked at Sophia. You are the CEO. I am the chief risk officer. You just authorized a non-employee to misappropriate company funds for a luxury purchase. I paused. If we don't classify this as embezzlement, the only other legal interpretation is an illicit gift as part of a compensated relationship. Sophia, your company is in the middle of a critical pre-IPO audit. A $100,000 expense like this, without a legitimate business justification, will get your entire financial compliance report thrown out by the SEC. The table was utterly silent. The woman who'd laughed earlier froze, her wine glass hovering halfway to her lips. The blood drained from Sophia's face. She shot to her feet, her chair screeching against the floor. Liam, are you insane? This is between me and Caleb. Who are you to make this a federal case? Embezzlement? Prison? Are you just jealous? Is that it? You can't stand to see me be nice to anyone else. Caleb's eyes immediately welled up. Tears streamed down his face on cue. Liam, why are you trying to humiliate me? I just bought a watch. Sophia was being nice to me. If you have a problem, take it out on me. Don't hurt her. He buried his face in Sophia's shoulder, sobbing. She stroked his back, then pointed a trembling finger at me. Liam, you apologize to him right now. If you don't, this wedding is off. I saved the document, closed my laptop. I stopped the recording and placed both items back in my briefcase. Then I stood up. Whether we get married is no longer your decision to make. But whether this company's books are clean, that is my decision. You have 3 days to return the $100,000 to the corporate account. If you don't, I'm submitting my report directly to the FBI. And one more thing. I looked at Caleb. I have you on tape admitting that her assets are your assets. According to the corporate bylaws and the risk management clause in our prenup, I have the authority to freeze any accounts involved in high-risk relationships that threaten company assets. I took out my phone and dialed our corporate bank manager, putting it on speaker. This is Liam Serro. The primary corporate account under Sophia's authority, ending in 7788, has been compromised. Per my authority, I'm ordering an immediate freeze on all non-payroll expenditures. A crisp voice replied from the other end. Understood, Liam. Executing now. A moment later, Sophia's phone buzzed again. It was the account freeze notification. Sophia stared at her phone, then at me, her eyes wide with disbelief. Liam, are you serious? I smoothed the front of my suit jacket. I don't joke about money. And with that, I turned and walked out of the room. Behind me, I heard the crash of shattering plates and Sophia's enraged scream. Liam, you'll pay for this. Monday morning, I was in my office at Sophia's company, the chief risk officer's office, with a mountain of expense reports on my desk. The door swung open. Caleb sauntered in, dressed in some ridiculously tight designer streetwear and sipping a boba tea. The head of accounting trailed behind him, looking mortified. Mr. Liam, I'm sorry. Caleb insisted on coming in. I didn't look up. I just kept circling items on a report with my limited edition Mont Blanc. Leave. The accountant scurried out of the room like he'd been granted a pardon, closing the door behind him. Caleb hopped up and sat on the edge of my desk. He set his tea down directly on a stack of my files. Condensation immediately began to bleed into the paper, smearing the ink. I stopped writing and looked up at him. He was swinging his legs, the toe of his designer sneaker coming dangerously close to my face. You're a real piece of work, Liam. Freezing Sophia's card? She had to borrow money from a friend just to put gas in her car today. How humiliating for her. He reached for the expense reports on my desk. And what's this? Accounting says you won't sign off on these? It's just a few suits. Sophia said it's for corporate image building. I held the papers down, then slid one from the stack and held it up. Armani, 3 custom suits, $45,000. Justification, office supplies. I looked him dead in the eye. Tell me, Caleb, what specific office function do these supplies serve? Should I make a special note in the audit report that Sophia's executive suite offers specialized services? Caleb didn't even blush. He casually brushed his hair behind his ear, revealing a fresh hickey on his neck. He wanted me to see it. Oh, Liam, don't be such a bore. Sophia's under a lot of pressure at work. I help her distress. In the office, don't I need a special uniform for that? You could call it a contribution to the company. He reached for the pen in my hand. Hey, this is a nice pen. Let me see it. I didn't let go. He yanked it, his nail digging a sharp, bloody line across the back of my hand. The pen was in his hand. He uncapped it and, right on the surface of my mahogany desk, drew a crude cartoon turtle. Then, on its shell, he scrawled my name, Liam. Heh. See, Liam? Doesn't it look just like you? Always stuck in your shell, so rigid you could snap. He spun the pen between his fingers, then tapped it hard against the corner of the desk. Twice. The nib bent, splitting apart. The limited edition, $20,000 pen was ruined. I looked at the broken pen, then at the graffiti on my desk. I took out my phone and took a picture of the desk. Then I took a picture of the scratch on my hand. Caleb rolled his eyes. Go ahead, take your little pictures. Go tattle to Sophia. See if she cares. Just then, the door opened again. Sophia walked in. She took in the scene, her eyes landing on the ruined desk and the broken pen in Caleb's hand. She didn't ask why my hand was bleeding. Instead, she frowned at me. Liam, why are you harassing Caleb again? He was just coming to my office for a signature, and you cornered him? Caleb immediately hopped off the desk and ran into Sophia's arms. Sophia, Liam was yelling at me. He said those suits I bought were for, something dirty. But you're the one who said you liked them. Sophia stroked his hair, glaring at me. Liam, I saw those expense reports. I told accounting to approve them. You have to bend the rules a little. Are you really going to block a $40,000 expense? What will people say? That I can't even afford to dress my friends well. I pointed to the stack of reports. It's not just the suits. It's a $2,000 spa gift card, a $5,000 hotel suite, and $300 for premium dog food. All of them are listed as office supplies or client entertainment. Sophia, this is called falsifying business records. It's tax fraud. Sophia strode over, snatched the entire stack of reports, and ripped them in half. Then again, paper fragments fluttered down around me. There, gone. Sophia sneered. You wanted evidence? Now you don't have any. Liam, stop trying to run my company with your rigid little rulebook. My name is on the door, not yours. If you don't like it, you can get the hell out. Caleb applauded from the sidelines. You're amazing, Sophia. You should have put this boring old man out to pasture years ago. He tossed my broken Mont Blanc into the trash can. Piece of junk anyway. My $2 Bic writes better than that. I stared at the pen in the trash. It was the last gift my grandmother gave me before she died. I bent down and retrieved the pen from the trash. I took a tissue and carefully wiped away the smudges. Then I placed it in my jacket pocket. Then I opened my desk drawer and took out a file. I didn't show it to Sophia. I just placed it in my briefcase. I looked at Sophia. You tore up the paper, but the digital records still exist with the IRS. The bank transfers are still on record. You didn't just tear up some reports, Sophia. You tore up your last exit strategy. Sophia just scoffed, wrapping an arm around Caleb. You're insane. She started walking out. Come on, Caleb. I'll buy you a new pen, a better one, just to piss him off. At the door, Caleb turned back, made a childish face, and flipped me the bird. Later, Grandpa. It was the end of the year, the annual company gala, held in the ballroom of a 5-star hotel. Hundreds of employees were there. At the head table, Sophia sat in the center seat. As her partner and fiancé, I should have been beside her. Instead, Caleb was in my chair. No, that's not accurate. He wasn't sitting in the chair. He was sitting on Sophia's lap. He was wearing a tailored suit, his shirt unbuttoned halfway down his chest, draped over her like he didn't have a single bone in his body. He held her wine glass to her lips, feeding her sips. Wine dribbled down her chin, dripping onto his chest. Sophia roared with laughter and leaned down to lick it off. The room erupted in catcalls and whistles. Go, Sophia, someone yelled. Now that's a close family friend. I just sat at the adjacent table, calmly cutting my steak. I could feel the stares from every corner of the room. Some were pitying, some were mocking. Most were just enjoying the drama. Suddenly, Caleb picked up the corporate seal from the table. The official seal of the company, the one that was supposed to be locked in the vault. Sophia had apparently brought it to the gala just to entertain him. Caleb grabbed the seal and a cocktail napkin. Thump, thump, thump. He stamped a dozen red imprints across the paper. This is fun. Hey, Sophia, can I borrow this for a few days? My little startup needs a corporate guarantor. With this stamp, I could probably get a huge loan from the bank. Sophia, her face flushed with alcohol, waved her hand grandly. Take it. It's yours. My seal is your seal. Stamp whatever you want. You can stamp my forehead for all I care. A shocked murmur went through the room. The CFO, standing nearby, looked like he was about to have a heart attack. He shot a desperate, pleading look in my direction. I set down my knife and fork, wiped my mouth with my napkin. I stood up, walked over to their table, and held out my hand. Give me the seal. Caleb shoved the heavy seal down the front of his shirt, looking at me with defiance. Why? Sophia gave it to me. The safe in here. You want it? Come and get it. Sophia wrapped her arm around Caleb's waist and glared at me. Liam, what is your problem? It's a party. Don't ruin the mood. Caleb's just playing around. He doesn't know anything about business law. What's the worst that could happen? You always assume the worst. I looked straight at Sophia. That seal is legally binding. He just announced, to this entire room, that he's going to use it to fraudulently secure a loan for a shell corporation. That's called bank fraud. And you, in front of hundreds of witnesses, just authorized him to do it. Sophia slammed her hand on the table, making the glasses jump. It's not fraud. It's an investment. Caleb is helping me invest. You don't know anything. Are you just jealous of him, Liam? Is that it? Jealous that he's younger, better looking, and knows how to make a woman happy. Look at you, dressed like an undertaker, with that permanent scowl on your face. If I were you, I'd have thrown myself off a bridge by now. Caleb giggled, pulling the warm, perfume-scented seal from his shirt. He grabbed a blank contract from a nearby folder and stamped it right in the signature block. See, Liam? All done. Now Sophia just needs to sign. She snatched a pen and, without a glance, scrawled her signature on the blank, now legally stamped contract. Done. Whatever Caleb wants, Caleb gets. I took out my phone. I took a photo of the signed and stamped blank contract. Then I started recording a video of Sophia cuddling with Caleb. Sophia saw me and lunged for my phone, but she was so drunk she stumbled. Caleb caught her. "Liam, you can't do that," he yelled. "That's an invasion of privacy." I put my phone away. "We're in a public ballroom. There's no expectation of privacy. Sophia, I hope you remember tonight. It's the last happy company gala you'll ever have." Sophia hurled her wine glass at me. Red wine splattered across my white dinner jacket like blood. "Get out. Get the hell out of my sight. You make me sick." I didn't bother with the stain. I turned to face the silent, watching crowd of employees. The entire ballroom held its breath. My voice was cold and carried to every corner of the room. "Attention, finance department. Effective immediately, you will cease approval on all non-contractual payments. Attention, legal department. You will document tonight's flagrant misuse of the corporate seal and begin preparing our defense for the inevitable lawsuits from fraudulent guarantees. To everyone else, please enjoy the rest of your evening. This meal may very well be the last client entertainment expense this company ever pays for." With that, I walked out of the ballroom. Behind me, I heard Sophia's hysterical screaming. "Liam, you're fired, and the wedding is off. I never wanted you anyway." A week later, I came home to find the door to my study wide open. The room was a disaster. The floor was buried in shredded paper. Caleb was sitting on the floor, a pair of scissors in his hand. He was methodically cutting my audit work papers and client files into confetti. He was folding the shredded documents into paper airplanes, tossing them around the room. Look at it fly, crash and burn." He saw me enter but didn't stop. He just picked up a critical-looking document and waved it at me. "Oh, hey Liam, you're home. This room was so cluttered with paper, I thought I'd help you clean up." The blood ran cold in my veins. Those were the master copies of the audit work papers for the Sterling Corp IPO, the only existing backups of the source documents. Among them were sealed whistleblower documents I was preparing to submit to the SEC. Now, they were all just confetti. If those papers were lost, I wouldn't just lose my CPA license. I'd face prison time for professional negligence and destruction of evidence. I'd be barred from the industry for life. I lunged forward and ripped the scissors from his hand. "Are you insane? Do you have any idea what you've just done?" Caleb flinched back, startled, scraping the back of his hand on the corner of a table. He immediately started screaming. "He's trying to kill me. Liam's trying to kill me. Sophia, help!" Sophia burst out of the bedroom, her robe half open. She saw Caleb on the floor, crying, a trickle of blood on his hand. Without a word, she charged at me and shoved me hard. I stumbled back into a bookshelf, pain shooting up my spine. My glasses flew off my face and hit the floor, a crack splintering across one lens. Sophia knelt and gathered Caleb into her arms. "Caleb, what happened? Where does it hurt?" He held up his hand, tears streaming down his face. "Sophia, I was just making paper airplanes, and Liam, he tried to stab me with the scissors. It hurts so much." Sophia whipped her head around to face me, her eyes blazing with fury. "Liam, what is wrong with you? Are you even human? You attacked him with scissors." I pointed a shaking finger at the sea of shredded paper. "Those were the audit masters. They are confidential legal documents. He just destroyed my entire career. What he did is a felony." Sophia glanced at the mess on the floor and shrugged. "It's just paper. Print another copy. Is it really worth trying to murder him over? Besides, Caleb doesn't know any better. He probably just thought it was good quality paper for his airplanes. Ignorance of the law is an excuse, you know?" I picked up my cracked glasses and put them on. The world was a fractured, distorted mess. Ignorance is not an excuse. Sophia, are you that legally illiterate? Destruction of legal financial records is a federal crime. Carries a prison sentence. Sophia laughed coldly. "Don't you dare try to scare me with your legal bullshit. Liam, since we're being honest now, let me show you something." She pulled a folded document from her pocket and threw it at my face. The corner of the paper sliced my cheek. I caught the document as it fell. My eyes focused on the title, Mortgage Loan Agreement. Collateral, full beneficiary rights to the Liam Miller Family Trust. Loan amount, $50 million. Borrower, Sophia Hayes. Guarantor, Liam Miller. And there was my signature. Except it wasn't my signature. It was a damn good forgery. And it was stamped with my personal notary seal. My seal is always locked in the safe in the study. I whipped my head around to look at the safe. The door was ajar. Only I knew the combination. No, that wasn't true. One other person knew. I told Sophia once, a long time ago when I was drunk. I was trembling with rage. "You stole my seal? You forged my signature?" You mortgaged the trust fund my parents left me? Sophia was completely unrepentant. Stole? Don't be so dramatic. We're getting married. What's yours is mine. Caleb got into some trouble with online gambling. He lost a lot of money. The loan sharks were threatening to break his hands. I was a little short on cash, so I had to use your trust to cover it. You can afford it. What's the big deal? It's just a temporary loan. Once the company goes public, I'll pay you back. With interest. Stop being so transactional. We're supposed to be family. Caleb peeked out from behind Sophia's shoulder, a smug look on his face. Yeah, Liam, you saved my life. My hands are precious, you know. I'm a pianist. Could you afford to replace them if they got broken? Besides, that money was just sitting there collecting dust. It's better to put it to work for Sophia's company. You wouldn't let me get hurt, would you, Liam? If you even think about calling the cops, I'll tell everyone you let your fiancé's brother get his hands broken by the mob. See how your reputation survives that. Moral blackmail, grand theft, forgery, wire fraud. In that single moment, they had crossed every possible line. Sophia stared at me, her eyes devoid of guilt, filled only with greed and menace. Liam, sign this addendum confirming the guarantee, and I'll forget about you assaulting Caleb. If you don't, I'll see you in court. And when I'm done telling the world how you abused me, let's see who's left to hire you. I looked at the two of them, one a parasite, the other a monster. But I couldn't lose my temper. Not now. The contract was already executed. If I called the police now, she'd claim it was a domestic dispute. The money was already gone, nearly impossible to trace. And with my work papers destroyed, I had no leverage. I had to play along. I had to get more evidence. I was going to make them give back every cent. And then I was going to make sure they spent the rest of their lives in prison. I took a deep breath. I closed my eyes. When I opened them again, the rage was gone, replaced by a cold, dead calm. Picked up a pen, and on the addendum Sophia handed me, I signed my name. Fine, I said. I'll help you cover it. Sophia and Caleb exchanged a look, then broke into triumphant smiles. See, Sophia said, was that so hard? You just had to make me get nasty about it. I watched them celebrate, and in my head I was doing the math. Life in prison. That was the final number I came up with for them. The moment I signed, Sophia's entire demeanor changed. She settled Caleb on the sofa and came over, trying to put an arm around me. That's my Liam. I knew you still loved me. We're a team. We can do anything together. I stepped away from her touch, adjusting my cracked glasses. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. The interest on that loan is too high. If we don't launder this money properly, it will never pass the IPO audit. Sophia's eyes lit up. You have a plan? I nodded, my voice all business. We'll disguise it as supply chain prepayments. You'll have Caleb register several new shell corporations to act as vendors. We'll draft fake procurement contracts, wire the money to them, and then have it flow back as refunds. It will be completely clean. The moment Caleb heard the words, register a company, he sat up straight. I get to be a CEO? Awesome. I want to be chairman of the board. I looked at him. Fine, but you'll have to provide your social security number and be listed as the sole corporate officer. You'll be legally responsible. Of course, I added, it's just a formality. No problem. Caleb agreed instantly. He had no idea what being a corporate officer entailed. To him, it was just another game, another way to get rich. For the next 3 days, I worked diligently to help them. I walked Caleb through the process of registering 5 new shell corporations. I helped Sophia draft 10 massive, exclusive procurement agreements, each for a sum exceeding $5 million. Every single one was stamped with Sophia's corporate seal and the seals of Caleb's new companies. And every single one bore their original signatures. To make it all look even more legitimate, I even had them sign a related party transaction disclosure waiver. In it, they admitted in black and white to their close personal relationship and stated that the transactions were for personal financial arrangements. Sophia held the stack of signed documents, beaming. Liam, you're a genius. Not only is the debt covered, but the books are perfectly clean. Caleb was ecstatic. He paraded around the office with his new corporate seals. See this? I'm Sophia's business partner now. You'd better start showing me some respect. He even came into my office and propped his feet up on my desk. You know, Liam, for a chief risk officer, you're not so tough. All it took was one word from Sophia, and here you are, cooking the books for us. After the IPO, I'm going to have her fire you. I'll be living the high life, and you'll be begging for change on a street corner. I kept my head down, organizing the paperwork. I scanned every signed contract, every wire transfer confirmation, every incriminating text message. I uploaded everything to a secure, encrypted server. At the same time, I was tracing the $50 million from my trust fund. And just as I suspected, it didn't all go to the loan sharks. $20 million was wired to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Account holder, Caleb. Another $10 million was used to purchase a new sports car and a penthouse condo, both registered in Caleb's name. The rest barely covered a fraction of his gambling debts. I stared at the flowchart on my screen. It was the final piece of the puzzle. Contract fraud, embezzlement, money laundering, conspiracy. I had helped them build an airtight case against themselves. I had recordings of their voluntary confessions and copies of their signatures on every fraudulent document. I closed my laptop and looked at Caleb's smug face. "It's not easy being a kept man," I said quietly. "I hope you enjoy it while it lasts." Caleb just sneered. "Whatever. You're the one who's going to be crying." 2 weeks later, it was the day of the wedding. The venue was the most opulent hotel in the city. It was also doubling as a pre-IPO investor gala for Sophia's company. Wanting to make a splash, she had invited every creditor, investor, and partner she had. She'd even invited reporters from the financial press to livestream the event. The ballroom was a sea of gold and crystal. Flowers were everywhere. Sophia stood at the entrance in a custom designer wedding gown, greeting guests. Caleb stood beside her in a white tuxedo, ostensibly the best man. But his tux was identical to a groom's. In fact, it was more elaborate and better tailored than the one they'd picked out for me. He stood with his arm linked through hers, right where the groom should be. To anyone who didn't know better, he looked like the man of the hour. Guests were whispering, "Why is the best man dressed like the groom?" "That's her special friend, Caleb. They're close." "So where's the actual groom?" I was in the back room. I wasn't wearing a tuxedo. I was wearing a black business suit, my gold CPA pin affixed to the lapel. And in my hand, I carried my briefcase with the laptop full of evidence. A knock came at the door. It was Detective Miller from the FBI's white-collar crime unit. He was in a suit with several other agents behind him. "Mr. Miller, are we ready to go?" the detective asked. I nodded. "The evidence is all here. Is the perimeter secure?" "Affirmative. On your signal, we move in." "Good." I pushed open the door and walked toward the ballroom. The ceremony was already underway. The officiant was on the stage, his voice booming. "And now, let us welcome our handsome groom." The main doors swung open. A spotlight found me. A collective gasp went through the crowd. I was dressed in a black suit, as if I were there for a funeral. The smile on Sophia's face froze solid. She hissed at me through clenched teeth. "Liam, what the hell are you wearing? Are you trying to humiliate me? Go change now." Caleb covered his mouth, snickering beside her. "Oh dear. I think Liam knows he's not good enough for you." So he wore a funeral suit to mourn the end of our little love triangle. I ignored Sophia's fury and walked directly onto the stage. I calmly approached the microphone. Sophia rushed at me, trying to pull me off the stage. "You're insane. Get down from here." I simply sidestepped and used her momentum to send her sprawling. She hit the stage hard with a loud thud. The crowd screamed. I took my laptop from my briefcase and connected it to the large projector screen behind the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed investors, members of the press, this is not a wedding. This is a presentation of criminal findings against Ms. Sophia Hayes and Mr. Caleb Vance." Sophia scrambled to her feet, trying to yank the power cord from the wall. "Security, get him out of here. Get this lunatic out." But the hotel security didn't move, because Detective Miller's agents were already quietly blocking every exit. I hit the enter key. The screen lit up. In bold, black letters on a stark white background, the title appeared: Special Audit Report. Conspiracy to commit fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering. Perpetrators: Sophia Hayes, Caleb Vance. I clicked to the next slide. A massive, complex flowchart appeared. A web of lines and red arrows, showing the flow of money from the company accounts and my family trust, all leading to Caleb's personal accounts and offshore holdings. Total funds misappropriated, $86 million. My voice echoed through the silent ballroom, cold and final. Sophia Hayes, CEO, used her executive authority to forge contracts and embezzle $30 million in corporate assets. Caleb Vance, unemployed, conspired with Sophia Hayes to establish 5 shell corporations, laundering an additional $20 million through fraudulent transactions. Together, they conspired to forge my signature and steal my personal seal, fraudulently mortgaging my family's $50 million trust fund to cover gambling debts and personal expenses. The screen changed, displaying copies of the fraudulent procurement contracts. Their signatures were blown up, displayed next to the corresponding wire transfer confirmations from the bank. The next slide showed screenshots from Caleb's Instagram, the new sports car, the penthouse, photos of him at a high-stakes poker table in Vegas. The room was utterly silent. Then, the sound of camera shutters from the press section started, a rapid-fire clicking that filled the silence. I saw the investors' faces turn from confusion to horror. "That's our investment capital," one of them shouted. "Sophia, you used our money to fund your boy toys gambling habit. Someone call the police." Sophia was sheet white, trembling. She pointed a shaking finger at the screen. "It's fake. All of it. Liam forged it. He's the expert at cooking the books. He's framing me." Caleb panicked. He started backing away, trying to flee the stage. "This has nothing to do with me. Sophia told me to sign it all. I didn't know what I was doing. She tricked me." I clicked to the next slide. The related party transaction disclosure waiver appeared on screen. Then I played the audio file I'd recorded in my office. Caleb's voice filled the ballroom. "I get to be a CEO? Awesome. I want to be chairman of the board," followed by Sophia's. "If we do this right, it will never be caught by the IPO auditors." The evidence was irrefutable. Sophia crumpled to the floor. Caleb screamed, clapping his hands over his ears. "Turn it off. Make it stop." I looked down at them, my expression cold as ice. "Sophia, you accused me of cooking the books. As a CPA, I have one principle. I don't create fraudulent accounts. I expose them. Every piece of evidence you see here is tied to a bank transaction ID. Every signature has been verified by a forensic document examiner. And that offshore account in the Caymans? I've already had it frozen by international authorities." I walked over to where Sophia lay on the floor and looked down at her. "You said we were family, that what's yours is mine. In legal terms, that's called conspiracy. Given the amount of money and the severity of the fraud, the federal sentencing guidelines are quite clear. You're looking at life in prison." I gave Detective Miller a slight nod. He signaled his team. The agents moved in, converging on the stage. A pair of steel handcuffs clicked shut around Sophia's wrists. Another agent caught Caleb just as he was about to slip away backstage and cuffed him as well. Sophia thrashed wildly. "I'm innocent. It was him. Liam framed me. Arrest him, you idiots." Detective Miller held her firm. "You can tell your story downtown. The evidence speaks for itself. You can explain it to a federal judge." Caleb collapsed to the floor, his expensive tuxedo now covered in dust. He was a pathetic sight. He grabbed at Sophia's wedding dress, sobbing. "Sophia, help me. I don't want to go to jail. You told me to sign it. You said it was okay." Sophia kicked him away viciously. "Get off me. This is all your fault, you worthless parasite. I only did any of this to cover your gambling debts. Officers, he seduced me. I'm the victim here. He's the one who spent all the money." It was a brutal kick. Caleb tumbled across the stage, his head cracking against a speaker. Blood started to trickle from his forehead. He stared at Sophia in utter disbelief. "Sophia, you bitch. A minute ago you loved me, now you're throwing me under the bus? Fine. Two can play at that game." Caleb turned to the agents. "I'll talk. I'll tell you everything. Sophia didn't just commit fraud. She's been evading taxes for years. Bribery, too. There's a second ledger in her office safe with a list of everyone she's paid off. I know the combination." "Shut up, you little bastard." Sophia screamed, lunging at him. "I'll kill you." They started clawing at each other, a tangled mess of rage and desperation, like two feral animals. Their supposed true love had devolved into the ugliest kind of spectacle. The audience just watched in disgusted silence. I stood off to the side, watching it all unfold. I felt nothing. The agents finally pulled them apart and dragged them away. As they led Sophia past me, she fixed her bloodshot eyes on mine. "Liam, you're a monster. How could you be so cruel?" I adjusted my new glasses. "I gave you chances. With the watch, with the expense reports, even after you destroyed my work. Every single time I gave you a warning, and you chose to ignore it. In the real world, ignorance isn't an excuse. There are only actions and consequences." They shoved Sophia into the back of a squad car. Caleb was still bawling. "My watch, my penthouse, my money. I don't want to go to jail. I want a burger." The sirens began to wail, cutting through the night. The grand wedding had become a grand spectacle of arrests. 3 months later, the verdict came down. For conspiracy to commit fraud, embezzlement, forgery, and a dozen other charges, Sophia Hayes was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. All her personal assets were seized. Caleb Vance, for his role as an accomplice, was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison and fined $1 million. His sentence was reduced for his cooperation in exposing the bribery ledger. Sophia's company was forced into bankruptcy and liquidated. I resigned from my position. The story made me something of a legend in the financial world. It also made me a nightmare for potential employers. After all, who wants to hire the guy who sent his own fiancée to prison for life? I didn't care. I opened my own forensic accounting firm. I specialize in the complex, the messy, the criminal. 6 months later, on a bitter winter day, I was walking through the downtown commercial district. The wind cut like a knife. Near the entrance to a subway station, I saw a familiar figure. It was Caleb's father. The old man, once so arrogant, was now kneeling on the frozen pavement in a ragged coat, begging for change. A cardboard sign next to him read, "Son in prison, crushing debt. Please help." All of Caleb's assets had been seized by the court to pay his fines and restitution. But that didn't cover the illegal loans. And since the loan sharks couldn't get to Caleb, they went after the next best thing, his family. The old man saw me. His eyes lit up with a strange mix of hope and hatred. He started to crawl towards me, reaching for the cuff of my pants. "Mr. Miller, sir, please, have mercy. We were wrong, you're a rich man. Whatever you can spare, please. You can save us." I took a half step back, avoiding his grimy hand. I reached into my pocket and took out a $1 coin. I tossed it into his paper cup. It made a small clinking sound. Then, I took a small notepad from my briefcase, wrote a single line, tore out the page and handed it to him. "Here." He took it with a trembling hand, his eyes wide, as if expecting a check. He looked down at the paper. It was a handwritten receipt. Donation receipt. Amount, $1. Note, charitable gift. I met his look of utter despair and said, "Remember to report that on your income taxes." Then I pulled my collar tight against the wind and walked away, leaving him kneeling in the snow. Behind me, there was only the sound of the wind. In this world, there are rules. And when you cook the books, you spend a lifetime paying the debt.